Hello, it's Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I'm here to give you this week's energy forecast. Well, I'm here in the boiling heat of France where our temperatures have been soaring and soaring, and I'm really feeling whatever feeling in our climate and in our environment is very much to do with the energy that we're feeling at the moment. I still feel the exhaustion from last week. I mentioned the exhaustion. We're going through a lot cosmologically. And so this affects the somatic body. It affects our soma. It affects our mind. It affects our emotions. We're spiritual beings in a physical body. So you're going to still be feeling the inklings of that fatigue, that exhaustion, but that will be soon lifting. This week is a very, very powerful week. I've said that every week, I know, but I mean, this week could really affect the tertiary of where you've been and how you've been dealing with life. So I think the key thing to ask here today as we enter into this report is what are the things that you have been sitting with? What are the things that you've been brewing over? What patterns have really come up for you that show that you really are in a space that you can't go on? And I think what this energy is trying to do is it's trying to break a pattern. It really is in you. And I think what we'll feel is the dark moon that's coming tonight through in the morning is that we're going to be really truly feeling that we can't do this the same way anymore. We can't blame other people. We have to understand that this is definitely here to show us what we're doing wrong, what it is in us that needs some help, that needs an arrangement, that has been operating through us and been actually causing our problems so far. So I want you to really think about that. What is the key thing that you have been dealing with? Bearing that in mind, knowing that this week we're in the final week of Cancer, and Cancer has been all about those emotions, those feelings, family, home, society, community, where we feel insecure or secure. And I think the ancestral memory has been carried through this Cancer, but I think this week is really bringing it home with the moon coming. The dark moon brings us to the end of an emotional cycle. And I really felt it this weekend. I sat in meditation and contemplation and really felt that some of the things that I'm wading through, some of the emotional material that's been coming up for me has definitely got to do with my female lineage. I made some real deep realizations of the things that I've been able to do and break through that my own ancestors were not able to do. And it feels difficult for me. It really does. But I feel like I'm breaking some ancestral chains. And I really felt this weekend also things to do with where we hold our prisons, where we hold our cages, where we are still feeling that we can't move, only we can. It's just the way we're thinking. I think the Mercury energy is really having us up there in our minds, thinking about these things and trying to communicate them, not to just ourselves, but to other people around us. So it might feel that this week there could be an urgency, or maybe you felt it over the weekend to communicate with someone over something. And it is about the past because even if this is a new person, a new conversation, then the fact that we've not done it in the past may be why we're voicing it now, for example. So this new moon is a complete, really deep cosmological reset to be able to start the new beginning. We've been feeling this since January, but really here now we're at a deep turn of events in July that a lot of astrologers have been speaking about. And it's giving us the stamp point to say, okay, no more. I'm not behaving in that pattern anymore. This new version of me will behave in this and this and this way. And unless we impound that now, it's going to be a long time till we get to grips with this again. So it's really, really vital you know what you're dealing with and what you're working with. The Uranus and Pluto that I'm going to speak about that's coming through is also about a deep personal reset, but also a very collective look at what is starting to begin in our world. I've been reflecting on this also today with news of, a fight that had happened this weekend, a convicted rapist still getting airtime, society still supporting that. People in our celebrity world, satanical, we can see all the symbols and all the codes, people still worshiping them. Celebrity men done for rape. I've seen a meme on all these footballers that have had accusations from women against them. And the tide has got to change, people. We've got to stop elevating these people. When we hear these things, when there's convictions like that, we need to pull back and remove. Otherwise, this is what's holding social status in society, and I think it's about to fall. So if you're a celebrity worshipper, I'd really have a big hard look at why you're celebrating people, especially in the billionaire league, that hoard money and hold on to so much money that they cannot spend and do not help humanity. If you worship those people, I take a good look at your own shadow or where you've been hoodwinked and in total brainwashing, because they are not heroes or heroines at all. In fact, they're big energy vampires in our society. And we're going to see the want for these to finally fall. Hopefully, in my lifetime, I will get to see the end of this kind of worship, the Kardashians and all of that nonsense. It's ridiculous that in this day and age, we're putting people like this on center stage. Who should be on center stage? Those people who are changing the world, the people who are of service to other people and helping communities. It says a lot about us as individuals that this energy is still within our collective. So that's my little rant as we move on. On Friday, I love working with Venus. I'm a Venusian Taurian woman, but Venus is very important to my work with the feminine. And as we move forward, we've got Venus on Friday that trined with the wounded healer Chiron. And that has really, really been playing in the energy that's gone and the energy that we're still working with regards to you feeling and knowing your worth. Venus really tries to get us to understand our worth in relation to love, relationships, money, status, all of that thing. It goes on from what I just said about the celebrities, where we'll project our talent and our beauty and our life force and creativity outside of ourselves. So this has been really trying to get us to center on our own worth, where we outsource it, and what deeply ingrained wounds do you still hold with regards to your worth? It's really, really important to have gone over that. And it's in my past podcasts if you haven't really deeply worked into that. But I advise you do as we move forward. So today is Monday, the 13th, and we have Mercury retrograde in Kamizi in a Kazimi in Cancer. That's a mouthful. And it's about when Mercury is about this mind and communication and speaking and all of this stuff that we've got round that we've swallowed. I'm going to say that we swallowed. It's really, really important that we begin to speak and share and say and connect to that person that we need to say something to. Mercury retrograde meets the sun at approximately 20 degrees of Cancer. And this conjunction happened in the early hours of Monday morning in France anyway. And Mercury Cazimi is really when a planet enters the heart of the sun. So as Mercury enters into the heart of the sun, it's illuminated, which means that the communication is being illuminated in you, memories and stories from which we understand our experiences. So with regards to what I've just spoke about worth, like where was our worth implemented in the past? How did we learn to value ourselves in which society, which culture, under what circumstances? because Mercury is retrograde, it may not bring completely new information to you. This could be absolutely old information, especially if you're a spiritual seeker who's seeking on healing. You might be thinking, oh no, not this again. Well, yes, this again, because there's a deeper understanding that wants to come forward, a deeper layer that needs to be moved. So some things are going to feel very the same. And it's asking us to bring this out into words now, to speak this out, to share what has not been shared, to have the brave heart in you to be able to really say that thing, just say it, speak it out. And things might have been bugging you, things might have been going over and over in your mind. If it's this, then really, truly, the truth that returns during Mercury retrograde may be the truth that we're not ready to receive the first time, or we weren't ready to give the first time. So this is your opportunity to do it. We have a deep squaring today of Venus. Yay. Again, she's super active, Venus, at the moment, squaring Uranus. And this is all about love, money, self-worth. Again, those themes coming deeply through. And on the same day, Venus in Virgo squares Uranus in Gemini. So Venus governs love, relationships, pleasure, money. Think of all those things. And Uranus is the disruptor. It wants to abruptly awaken, bring in that electric charge that I said. So this is building this week, building, building, building. Are you willing to name this thing that is sat inside of you that absolutely loops and loops around your life, your financial circumstances, your love circumstances, your career circumstances, because you do not know your worth, because you still operate out of the wounds? It really is asking us to break free. Venus is saying, break out of that shell, have a desire for freedom and liberation and attracting what you are worth, attracting your worth, and not living out of those underwater spaces of lack and drowning and not having enough of anything. So this is all about we've heard these themes going on over the last week, but this is the boiling point. We're at the boiling point because this has been going on and on and on, hasn't it? And we're wondering, how the hell am I still stuck in this place? I'm totally frustrated. Listen, I'm a shaker and waker and mover, and I'm feeling, oh my God, what's happening? My energy's low, I'm tired, and this is the time I really want to be moving through whatever's showing up. So we might all be feeling that, or we might be completely cut off from it. But I think we're going to get some movement tonight as the dark moon in Cancer enters. And this dark moon, I can't help but feel the Black Madonna. I can't help but feel the energy of the archetypal dark mother who's showing you this is the darkness you've been going through. This is the wounding. This is the pattern. These frustrations, these heartaches, these pains, this suffering that you have been bearing and carrying is because of this. And like I said, the musings I had at the weekend really are showing us that we're in this space with this dark moon in Cancer of the ancestral mother, the ancestral womb. So I really think what's been coming up for you, if you can connect the two, is that there's been a deep ancestral pattern in your feminine line that you have been carrying, and you have been doing it over and over again without really being conscious that that's what you're holding for this ancestral line. And this is the opportunity, as I say, from womb to tomb, to take this to the tomb and to bury it once and for all. It's a time to release, to surrender, to empty yourself. I'm looking at my altar here to the Black Madonna, really going to spend some time with her in front of her tonight, saying, take this away from me, take it from my sisters and my grandmothers and all my ancestral line, because this Cancer dark moon is drawing us to an ancestral and maternal territory within us. There's a lot of emotion here, and you need to speak out almost as a woman what you've been carrying, what conscious emotional patterns are you aware of now that you haven't been, and how can you release them or offer them to the Dark Mother to take back with the bones of your ancestors and recycle to change a pattern. This is not a time to judge the ancestors. Women that have gone before us were very much deluded by the patriarchy they lived with, as are we as women, still colluding with that patriarchy. I mentioned that with the worship of celebrities and honoring of rapists in our mainstream. Somewhere we are all still doing it, but it's asking to recognize what we have carried. I've seen this week so many comments, and I've worked with women on this, negative comments about women, talking about women's bodies all the time, talking about how women are this and that and this, and it's got to stop unless we're elevating or finding ways in which we can support and uplift the feminine. This is all ancestral baggage for all of us. All of us, it's vast in the collective. So we must really feel what ways our ancestors' behaviors, patterns, I can look at my lineage of women that were in maybe, not even happy marriages, in marriages because they had to be, or unable to have their own business, like I've got, or my own home, all of those things. I am breaking that for the ancestors. I know my worth. I know my abilities. I know what I'm capable of as a woman, and I refuse to let those patterns of unworthiness, of I need a man, or I need support off the government, or whatever, to prevent them from kicking ass as women. So realize what it is within you that wants to kick ass as a woman. Where can you accelerate? Where do you undervalue? Where do you lean in on dependency? And where can you really begin to come in and descend and bury all of that and begin to fully go forward into a more exalted, empowered woman who feels the weight of her worth and not the burdens of her ancestors. So that's huge. That, if you can do that and realize it and name it, will help you bring in the new moon in Cancer energy. This new moon is really, truly trying to bring you into a new relationship with your own self. Until your relationship with yourself changes, it won't change on the outside. The way people treat you, the way people ignore you, the way people can be jealous of you, the way that people exclude you, all of that is to do with your own relationship with yourself. And you need a new relationship with yourself that looks like, you name it, included, really loved, worth is valued. Write the things down of the values that you would like people to recognize you for, and try to really feel them by yourself. So this new moon in Cancer arrives in France at 11:43 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it's really close to that retrograde in Mercury. So it's a new beginning with memory, reflection, and emotional truth. And this lunar cycle, we're going to really try to be this new version of ourselves. And that's what I'm definitely going to lay as an intention for this moon cycle, is to really begin to value myself, not abandon myself, not put up with shitty communication or just poor treatment, or calling out when you feel like you've not been valued or appreciated, all of those things, to call them out. So what are you going to call out? What are you going to stand by as you move forward with the new moon? So we have to really feel how we're creating a relationship with ourselves that's rooted in tenderness, truth, emotional integrity, and self-worth. We've got a lot of work to do. We have, but we should be really feeling the support of the celestial bodies up there, connected to that planetary movement, the energies of these planets, that are really supporting us in this new relationship with yourself and therefore with the rest of the world. So, what we're going to do and see from that moon, from Wednesday to Friday, I think that we're really going to be feeling this integration of an emotional reset. Try not to fill the empty space that this dark descent is going to fall in. Just try to be in it. We can't seed something new in a soil that's not yet fertile. So let the soil empty, let the decomposition of the old version of you and those old ancestral stories dissolve into the earth, because we will be processing that information, feeling it, emoting it, and releasing it. I really said that the feeling of composting all of this will allow you to take deep ownership, and it will make you want to purge this out so that you no longer behave in these ways, and that the new life can be attracted to you. So the integration is so important as the revelation. In my groups, I always share the following sequence, which is you've got to realize it, you've got to accept it, you've got to emote it, then you've got to move it out the body, then you've got to change the course of action, you've got to behave differently. That completes like a healing cycle. So all of that till Friday, just sat with it, feeling it, composting it, realizing all these places in yourself that need to change, and feeling the teetering of that new version of you. What does it look like? What does she entertain? What does she allow in her life? What does life look like for you? As Saturday comes in, we're going to have the Uranus trine Pluto retrograde. And this is a very, very deep cosmic reset. All in this reset mode. Can you feel how it's all about the new? So on Saturday, Uranus in Gemini forms an exact trine with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And this is going to be the first in a long line, actually, of I've got the chart, I can see it, of Uranus Pluto trines that begin to unfold over the years, and thinking why that might happen. So I'm going to write down what happens here, what themes might come up from this, and then how that might play out in the future. But Uranus is a planet that awakens and it disrupts and it revolutionizes. So hopefully we're going to see in the collective some deep changes. And Pluto reveals hidden power. I think this goes back to what I was saying. I've been harping on about it, about nobody really understands what it means to be a billionaire and how much money that is. And if they knew and had that access to that amount of money, like you would have access to that amount of food while it rots in your bank and the rest of the world starves, you'd realize how dark it is. So these hidden powers that hide in our celebrities, in our governments, in all of these structures that are beginning to finally, thank God, dismantle, are going to transform life from the roots. If you feel that holding on to anything that we currently hold in our society is of value at the moment, then you need to waken up to realize how corrupt our society is and how we have leaned into this corruption, because it's easier to be blind from it, to hide from it, because to understand that the corruption out there exists means that we've got to own it in ourselves, how we support it and how we give power to it. And that's what all this energy is trying to do. It's trying to pull the wool from underneath your feet and say, how do you change behavior? Where do you pull back all of this that sits in your own worth? The outer planets of this trine are larger than any personal event. They're the biggies. It describes a generational and collective shift. And wow, like, come on, this has to happen. Our world cannot go on. We know that. Uranus in Gemini begins transforming communication, education, media, transport, technology, and the circulation of information. Hoorah. We have seen over the last 5 years or so deep corruption in the media, deep corruption, portraying untruths, scandals, fear-mongering, propaganda, being only interested in stories that create fear and divisive money and control for those people that are in power. It's huge. It's really huge. And Pluto is going to be transforming communities and networks, social systems, technology, collective power. I think this is really calling in a trine for flowing connections, for bringing people together that are for good causes, that are going to revolt against these systems, because it's a revolutionary energy as well. We're going to revolt against the governments and the media and all of those things. We're the ones of us that are awake to it are going to be able to transform really quickly. But we are still seeing people that are still deluded by the news. They're still hinged on every word the newspaper or the politician or the celebrity say. So this is going to hopefully change. I think it's going to be different to revolutions we've seen before, which have been through kind of conflict and protest and war. I think this is going to be more about innovation, the way we're learning, and the younger generation are much better than us in actually freaking communicating, and the formation, which is really important, of the new energy, the new earth, of new communities, people that come together. Uranus is bringing this revolution, this awakening, and this innovation. And Pluto will be power, death, rebirth, systematic transformation. Gemini is governing communication, information, education, and networks. And Aquarius is technology, collective systems, and social change. So all of it together, we can kind of see that new communities, new networks that can challenge the established powers and regimes that so need challenging, and create new systems from the old system. This could be absolutely life-changing for all of us, but it needs to have us all on board. We all have to realize that a new system in all ways, shapes and forms, let's take everything to the ground and realize that all systems, medical, educational, social, governmental, everything is in order for a complete and utter annihilation, revolution, and formed in the new feeling of a community that communicates and is out for the greater good of all humanity. And I think that asks me the same. Am I out for my own personal gain? Am I out for being more, you know, involved in community and supporting the wider configuration? And this was all brought about in my thinking. I posted last week, maybe the week before, about a French astrologist called André Barbol and the collective turning point. And he saw July 2026 as a massive configuration of planets that would change society as we know it. And he studied the cycles, particularly of those outer planets that I spoke about. And he developed a planetary concentration index to identify periods of historical contraction and expansion. And he associated heavily concentrated planetary periods with collective crises and planetary dispersal with renewal and reconstruction. So he labeled this the Barbol basket, that this time in July, this configuration was coming together and that we would see a mass overhaul of our systems. So, yeah, I feel quite exhausted speaking about all of that. But I think we all are aware that we're at a massive, great time of collective change, and that we're going to be seeing, and I think we've all been hoping for, the systematic change. While many of us live in privileged systems, and I include myself in that, I'm well aware when I see, you know, the women in Afghanistan who are under horrific regimes, people who live in countries where genocide, child exploitation, rape, danger, even to like walk on the streets, women murdered in homes. Like, yeah, this world is under a deep necessary change. And while I have this beautiful bubble around me of spiritual people working on themselves, I'm also aware of the wider community that is unaware that we need to do work on ourselves and that our own shadows collude with the bigger shadow. So there is a lot of work for us to do. And I think that the only thing we can do here is work on ourselves and see where that we collude with the patriarchal regimes that we currently live under in our world. Where are we more focused on the I than the we or the team or the community? Where are we still obsessed with the way we look or the vanity that we carry that takes over our lives and our world and is a main focus? Where we hoard wealth or things? We're all guilty of that. But how these big changes could actually really revolutionize our planet. So the report is a big one this week, and I'm sending the report with the power of the Black Madonna because I know she is a way changer, a shape shifter, and a changer of our world. And whenever I've devoted any practice to the Black Mother, I've always felt like I've lost something that was clinging onto me, holding onto me, and was ready really to be dissolved and renewed and rebirthed. So I call her energy in this week. If you are wanting to be part of my inner temple, it's €22 a month. It's really quite a minimal fee for getting all the energy forecasts that I do each week. I give you a deeper broadcast, which allows for you to take some questions, psycho-spiritual questions that I've carefully designed to take you deeper into these energies that you can sit, write down, focus on, and make the changes from them. Because I know that when we do these reports, when I share this, there's so much information that we could easily be trapped into thinking, listening to a report like this, I have a few realizations and that's going to change things. It isn't. We actually have to do the work around that. So I do put the questions in the group. I give you a practice that helps you deepen into what comes up and some guidance into what things you should be doing, writing down the questions you should be answering yourself during this so that you make everything that's unconscious in your psyche conscious so that you can work with it. So for €22, you get that, and you get that every week. And you'll get an archetypal feminine. So today's archetypal feminine will be the Black Madonna. There'll be more information about her, what she can do for you, and how she can help navigate the energy this week. So if you want to join my inner temple, you will find the link under this video. So this is big times. My community is a space as well in my website that people can share all about these forecasts and how it's affecting them. And also in my groups on Facebook, such as I've got a very large group called the Women Who Runs with Wolves on Facebook, and also a Sacred Rose Temple group. And you can catch all my updates on Instagram as well. So I'm bidding you a very deep, transformative week. And I really hope that you can do the work to allow those old ancestral patterns that have been dogging you and your life for so long and start this week in the latter as a new person with a new beginning and really feeling how you can put into action the new behaviors and the new version of you. So until next week, it's been so nice to bring this report. I am grateful for your likes, your comments, and your shares. It makes me do this work. The more likes, the more comments, the more I have visibility, the more I can keep giving. So I really ask you to share, like, make a comment, and subscribe. So take care. Have a great week, and may the Black Mother be with us all. God bless you all.